be dragged for saying this or not. Maybe it's because I was in prison for a decade and I just didn't see society evolve, but I took my son to the pediatrician. This happened and I'm highly effing offended. Okay, so my son plays sports. In order to be actively participating in the sports at school, you have to have a sports physical on file every single year. I took him to the pediatrician for this sports physical. Whenever any of us go to a doctor's visit, we all know that they do the triage. They do the blood pressure, the height, the weight, and all that right when you get there. And so when we get there, they're going to take him to do the triage like they do any other time. What ended up happening was they put us in a room without doing triage. When they put us in the room, they called my son out by himself, and she was like, oh, we're just going to go do the weight and the height and everything. And I was like, okay, cool, no problem. They took him around the corner, and I could see like the side of his chair, and I could see like half of his body, but I couldn't see like the little nook that she was in where she was writing everything down. You know, it was not a big deal, but I kind of just stuck my head out just a peek. You know, I'm a mom and I'm nosy. I've been in prison. Like, I want to see what's going on. So I'm just standing in the doorway of the patient room and I'm like watching him. I end up seeing that after she does the blood pressure, the height, and the weight, she ends up handing him a clipboard with a piece of paper. In my mind, I'm like, oh, that's peculiar. Number one, I've already answered all the health questions, like the medical history. Number two, why would you give it to a 12-year-old kid? Like, he doesn't know his medical history. But again, like, I've already answered all that. So what the heck is that form? But I did want to help. So I thought, let me walk over there and just make sure he doesn't need my help with any of these questions. I end up walking over there. I look over his shoulder and I see that, you know, he's checking things off and he's answering questions. And I'm like, all right, good job, babe. Like, you know, you're answering everything on your own. You've got this. You're growing into a great little man, very independent and self-sufficient. It's all good. I'm going to leave it alone. I'll talk to him about what they were asking later and make sure that he understands the severity of answering these questions accurately, because it has to do with health, or so I thought. So I walk away and I go back into the room. About a minute or so later, he comes back in the room with the nurse and he sits down. The nurse closes the door and she's like, the doctor will be in a minute. Before I could even utter one word, my son looks at me and says, Mom, that was the weirdest form I've ever had to fill out. Of course, now my interest is piqued and I'm like, what kind of form was it? He's like, they asked me if I was gay, straight, or bisexual. They asked me if I felt like I was the gender that I was assigned to at birth. They asked me if I ever felt like I was a different gender. They asked me what gender I identify best with, how much I ate every day, how many hours I slept, and things that I know that they ask during psych evaluations at the prison. That's where they ask you in that type of setting, like in mental health settings. Everything was kind of weird at that moment, and in
First off, I'm gonna just touch on this. First off, me personally as a parent, I would be livid if you asking my kid without my permission questions like that. And if you really want me to truly be honest, I really feel like it's them trying to push an agenda on our kids. And I really feel like that's why we have to be more in tune with our communities and what's, you know, who's in office. And, you know, you guys have to pay attention to that type of stuff, because it leaves, I feel like the way that she's handling this, her composure is like very much of that as I don't even know how to put it. I can't put my words together. But she's very mature for the way she reacted, because I know a lot of people would for sure react crazily, like buck wild, if something like that was to happen to their child. Like, they pushing this agenda on our kids in these schools, and it's just, they don't get you thinking as to like, why is you questioning my child? You confusing them. Because by the time they get to the age of 13, 14, if I wanted to have that conversation with them, you kind of rob me of that conversation, because you pushing this agenda that you're getting paid for. The doctors, the nurses, whoever are getting paid to push this agenda on our kids. And this shit is not right. It's not right. It's not right at all.
In my mind, I instantly got pissed the hell off. So the doctor comes in a few minutes later and I'm like, hey doc, I don't know when you guys started this, but I don't appreciate you guys giving a 12-year-old that form particularly my 12-year-old, when you don't know if that subject matter has been even discussed in our household, you don't know if he knows what these words and terms mean. For the record, he does. I mean, I think most 12-year-olds probably do, but that's besides the point. They don't know that. You don't know if now I'm going to have a conversation with my child discussing why he's being asked this, what the relevance is to his life, and explaining things that he may not have previously known and I didn't want to discuss just yet because I didn't think it was age appropriate. You can't make that generalization, because the reality is that 12-year-olds, most of them, they're not engaging in sexual behavior, and everything they hear is just from social media. They don't even know a lot of the time at that age, like, what actual real information is, like what is legit and what they just hear on social media and from their friends. They might not know what your birth assignment was. They might not know what transitioning is. And why would they if it hasn't been something that's come up in their household before? And you wouldn't know that because you didn't bother to ask. So at the very least, I would have appreciated if you would have brought that to me, said, hey mom, scan this real quick. If you're okay with us giving it to your child, then, we would like to, and that would have been fine. But you didn't. You did it in a sneaky way. You put us in the room together. Then you called him out by himself. And then you gave him this form, this very explicit form with very detailed.
And then what's crazy is the fact that they try to separate you from your kid, put you in a whole nother room and try to separate y'all so they can push this agenda on these kids. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. And I'm proud of her for reacting the way that she did and not going ballistic, because why are you asking a young kid and you're supposed to be, doing a normal regular checkup and you doing the wrong type of checkup? And she said in the beginning of the video, like, this might sound crazy or, something along the lines of that, but this doesn't sound crazy. Like, you have every right. She said she's been locked up for 10 years. So with her being locked up for 10 years, that's definitely going to play, some type of part. So I know she haven't been around, so it's kind of like the fact that she was even this mature to even just handle it like this. That's all I can really say. The fact that she was this mature to handle it like this and not go batshit crazy, it speaks volumes. But I know a lot of people who would have instantly reacted and when it got, they revenge or they peace, at least that's what, within themselves, not necessarily legally, but
personal invasive questions, and you didn't even bother to give me a heads up. What if we had never discussed that before and he got in the car and now all of a sudden he wanted to know all these things and I was thinking that it's not age appropriate. I was going to wait till he was 14 or 15, and now you've just created a problem. Or what if you have a very impressionable and naive child and now you actually have planted a seed to where they're going to go searching? So she's like, oh, well, we just want to be inclusive and afford the opportunity for every kid to feel comfortable. And I said, I understand inclusivity and I understand leaving no child behind or their feelings. That's valid. But there's a difference between recognizing that a child needs to talk to somebody about something that they may not be able to talk about at home, and introducing subject matter and planting a seed about something that has never come up. And you wouldn't know what case you're dealing with because you didn't bother to ask the parent. I flipped out. I left. I'm not going back.
And the crazy part, back then when I was coming up, people who chose that path, it just came, naturally, with them, doing whatever it is that they do, experimenting, whatever the case is. But that's not the case with a lot of things that's, fast forward from like back then, it's not the same. I promise it's not the same. Now they forcing it on you in schools, on the kids in schools. They forcing it on them in the churches. They forcing it on them in the doctor's offices. And it's just, something got to be done. And I'm trying to figure out, like, y'all need to comment down below on how y'all feel about this. Because me personally, I wouldn't be having this. I probably wouldn't be, because when I get irritated, I start to sweat. As y'all can see, my head keep glistening because it's irritating me just sitting here speaking about not her, but the people who put her son in it, her and her son in this situation, in this predicament. It's just ridiculous.
When did they just start discarding the parent
Ridiculous.
role in this whole situation? You're going to take a 12-year-old's word on all of this stuff without even consulting the parent? What if he would have answered those questions crazy because he didn't even know what the hell was going on?
Right.
And then now there's a case of, oh, the parents not wanting this or not allowing that, but we're going to still take this kid and like, what? My mind spun out. So I just want to know what you guys think. Please don't come on here talking about I'm phobic this and phobic that. I'm not. When you take a child to go do something without the parent's knowledge or consent, it feels very sneaky and very shady, and I didn't appreciate it. Okay, it felt like there was some kind of agenda or narrative that was underlying here, that was being pushed upon my child that I was not aware of, and I don't approve. I figured I could get some insight from the world and just see, I don't know, just put some feelers out there, before I blow a gasket and go prison on the medical staff, because that's not what I want to do. But maybe I'm overreacting and this is like the norm. I just don't feel like it is. And if it is, I don't feel like it should be. Love you guys. I will see you guys in the next one.
And that's the end of the video. I really feel like, yeah, she shouldn't, go that hard to put herself back in another situation. And again, the person who was pushing this agenda is dead wrong. You should let everybody choose whatever choice they want to choose and let them choose, not push some type of agenda on them, especially kids. Separating the parent from the kids, that's weird. That's a red flag. I'm not fully sure who, these people are representing, but it's getting out of hand to the point like it's all about the kids. That's really the point. Like, if y'all don't have no compassion from watching this video and you know what I'm saying, and understanding what's going on, especially if you have kids, it's gonna hit. For me, it's hitting. So I don't know if y'all have kids, if y'all watching this, but it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit. And I don't know, this seemed like this is somewhere in New York or California, because ain't no way that they could be getting away with this. This is a lawsuit. Anyways, I'm not gonna waste any more of y'all time. Until the next video, I'll holla at y'all.